Shotzi Blackheart was in the news this week because Shotzi, after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view last weekend, took to Twitter to respond to critics of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match and her own performance, which was criticized. And this was the message that she posted. She said, "There are 3 things I care about at the end of a match. Is everybody safe? Did everybody have fun? And did the crowd react?" She said, "Nobody got hurt. We all had a blast. And the Vegas crowd was hot, hot, hot. I felt on top of the world after that match and was so excited to finally have my first hardcore match in over a year. I would not have done anything I did not practice or thought that I could not do safely. But I'm not a wrestling robot. I'm human and slips happen, especially in a chaotic, unpredictable ladder match. I can take a joke and laugh at myself. One of the first things I said was, I can't wait to see that spot on Botchamania. But comments like, you should be fired, and other terrible things admittedly hit hard. I had to have a few friends wipe the tears off my face and slap some sense into me and remind me who the F I am. That being said, all my haters can suck my big giant hairy mangoes." So here's the deal. I reviewed Money in the Bank last weekend, and you know my thoughts on the women's Money in the Bank match. I didn't think it was very good. And there were a couple of different places where Shotzi tried something and she botched it and it didn't go well. But it wasn't like she ruined the match, right? I just didn't think the match, and certainly compared to the men's match at the end of the show, I just didn't think it was very good. And there's nothing wrong with having that opinion. What's wrong, or where it becomes wrong, is when you have people who are directing hatred at this woman. They're adding her, they're using her handle, or they're sending her private messages, or whatever it might be, and saying some of the shit that these people were saying. So what ended up happening is she deactivated her Twitter account, which I think is still deactivated. She'll come back. Everybody always does. I think you got 30 days. If you don't reactivate it, then they delete the whole thing. So she'll be back. But she deactivated her account because just the messages that she was getting and all the hate, it was just so overwhelming. The very next day is when she did that. And she ended up taking to Instagram to provide an update to all of her followers. She said, "I appreciate everybody checking on me. I swear I'm fine. I have been going through the toughest year of my personal life, so it's deeper than nasty comments. But also, Twitter has not helped with my fragile mind state. Just trying to stay motivated and positive. I am focused on my own goals and not what is on the internet." So when she talks about having a tough year personally, she lost her father back in January after a battle with COVID. She's had some things go on in her personal life that are bigger and more important than just wrestling that have affected her. I think I mentioned that at the time, that her father had passed away. Social media is a cesspool. I think we can all agree on that. Most of us are on social media, right? Some of you aren't. I actually admire you people. But most of us are on social media. You're on Facebook, or you're on Twitter, or you're on YouTube. Is technically social media. You're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. There's so many different fucking apps and websites. Everybody's got a profile. Twitter in particular is probably the worst. It is an absolute cesspool. I get comments, although not nearly as bad as some of the comments that some of these wrestlers get and some of these women get. But I get comments, people get death threats, it's just horrible personal shit from people that don't even know you. Maybe they don't even follow you, but somehow they find you and they direct it at you, and it happens every day. You all see it on your timelines or in your replies. I know I do. So social media is an awful, terrible place. But it takes a special kind of person, I think. If you think that somebody is a bad wrestler, if you think that they have terrible matches, if you think this person, this guy, this girl, they're no good. I don't know what possesses a person to take time out of their day to actually punch that person's name in and send that message to them to make sure that they see it. If you go on your own Twitter page and say, so-and-so sucks and I don't think she's that good in the ring, there's nothing wrong with that. Because that's your opinion. You're well within your rights to go ahead and voice it. But it's the people that go, hey, at Shotzi, whatever her handle is, you suck and I think you should lose your job. That's the part about it that I never really understood. Now, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with those people being very deeply unhappy with their own lives. They probably have shit going on in their own lives, or they're lonely, or, people don't like them. They're probably, a terrible, shitty person. And so they project, right? Well, if I feel shitty, then I got to make sure everybody else feels just as shitty as I do. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with that. But still, I look at that and I go, what possesses, I would never, in my wildest imagination, I could say something on the podcast. If it's my opinion, I'm giving my opinion on somebody. It doesn't mean that when I'm done recording or I'm done going live, you know what? I got to make sure this person sees what I said. And I'm going to go and I'm going to at them and say, hey, you suck, pal. What does that add to my day? Nothing. But that's what you find on Twitter and on social media. They want to make sure you see it. They want to make sure that they can bring you down because obviously they have some kind of shitty, boring, terrible life of their own. And so I don't blame her. Sometimes the best thing to do is, frankly, to step away from social media. And the fact that she was driven to tears, by these comments, I think I said this at the time when she died, the Hana Kimura story. And I remember making a comment, I don't know if it was on the podcast or to somebody in a tweet, ironically. I said nothing is going to change. There's a lesson in there to be learned when it comes to bullying and just saying things about people and just being so brutal and so relentless about it that they actually are driven to take their own life. And it should be a learning experience. It should be something that people learn from, but it won't be. Same thing's going to happen. Clearly wrestling fans, in that case, it actually wasn't wrestling fans so much as it was people of that reality TV show that she was on. But clearly wrestling fans have not learned a lesson from this. That's probably the saddest part about the whole thing.